Okay, so last week we got a lot done but didn't get it on film, and so we'll catch you up. So we've sewn the netting onto the back of the skirt here, so you can see at the bottom it all flows beautifully. So that's all ready to go. And then all of the pieces, you may recall when we were doing our test versions of the bodice, that we were sewing the satin onto the undercloth, underneath cloth. And so that has all been done on our lightweight one. We have also put interfacing, you might have to close up on this. On the back of this, we used iron-on interfacing, both on the top edge and the bottom edge. For the bottom part, on all of the pieces, it goes across to where the waistline is, so it'll be nice and stiff and nice for that part. Okay. Normally, if you've done any sewing, you'll have had the interfacing piece will be onto what's called a facing, and it's sewn onto that. Because we have the underlining here, it's easier just to put it on that.
Why are you
if these terms don't make any sense to you, then you haven't done a lot of sewing. Just know that if you're having an underlining, you can put the interfacing on the underlining, and it just makes it easier. Okay. We chose iron-on because it's easy. And this, if you're making something where you're going to be washing it many, many times, iron-on isn't always the best choice because the glue will eventually let go. Yeah. This is not something we're going to be washing many, many times.
Probably not at all.
Yeah, not all. And so iron-on facing is perfect.
Yay!
So, all of these pieces have had their iron-on interfacing done, and their underlining sewn on. And we also have the lining fabric cut out. Today what we're going to do, we're going to put a little bit of pink satin at the top of all the lining pieces so that pink satin will wrap around to the lining.
Okay.
We will explain that when we get there. We also, one of these pieces, where's the one with it'd be the side center back. Side center back. Okay, where's our for our grommets? Our thin strips.
Here.
Oh, and by the way, Rosalie graduated high school. Yay! So now she's free to do things. Because we gotta get my dress done in 2 months, guys.
So this is the piece that the grommets will go on. There's iron-on interfacing on the inside, and it's folded in half, and you can see it's nice and stiff. The first time I did it, when I ironed it, I don't know if you can see on your iPhone, you can see sort of a grid pattern in there.
Oh, yes.
That is the grid that's underneath the padding on the ironing board.
No way!
And it ironed permanently into the piece of satin. Luckily we have extra satin, so it's not a problem. So on the other piece, I did it again, and I put several layers of cotton in between to make like an extra bit of padding, and this one looks fine. Okay. And so we will demonstrate this. That will also allow us to demonstrate doing the iron-on interfacing.
Yay!
And so away we go.
Right.
So we took out some scrap of the fabric, and you can see here when I iron and I'm not doing the iron-on interfacing, it's fine. I'm not getting the grid pattern on the back because I'm not pressing as hard as I will when I do the iron-on interfacing. Okay. So whether or not you need extra padding under your ironing board depends on what you're ironing and so on. What I usually do when I buy a new ironing board cover is I keep the old ironing board cover
and put it over on top of it.
So I get a double layer of stuff, because it's only with the most lovely plushy ironing board covers that you don't have the danger of the grid coming through.
This one's from Walmart.
Well, and it's probably the cheapest one Walmart has.
Yeah.
So, but there are ways to remedy that. When one is on a budget, one can still not have the grid pattern come through. So,
Penny's sewing budget tips.
Yeah, sewing budget tips. So here you can see I don't have a grid pattern coming through. So,
yay!
This fabric will go, let's get the outside piece too. So here's the outside of the back of the dress. Let's get these lined up. Here's the outside of the back of the dress. Here's the inside of the back of the dress. And so they'll be sewn together along the top edge and turned under. So it'll be something like, I can get these to line up right, something like this. You don't want that pink cotton to be at that top edge. If it ever gapes or whatever, that's not as attractive. You want that pink satin to be at the top edge as well. Don't need the pink satin on the whole inside.
No.
So we've got the pink cotton. We want a little bit of the satin on the inside. Don't need much at all. We don't even need a full facing, because normally the facing would be part of the inner facing. We have the inner facing here. So we only need a narrow band on that top edge.
Okay.
And so now we're cutting out pieces of satin to stick onto this.
All right.
So that's what we're doing. For our example, this is our side front piece of the lining fabric, the cotton, which we happen to have pink. Didn't need to be pink. Could have been anything neutral. We happen to have some pink.
Yep.
So it can be totally pink. So this is the side front. And then center, front, side front. This is the side front pattern piece. And we have our little bit of pink satin here. And we just did the special pinking shears along the bottom edge to make it so we don't have to turn edges. We'll also make it nice and flat. Now we're taking these little bits of satin and sewing them to the top edge of our pattern pieces. So I'm laying them down here. I'll get some pins, pin them in place. And this is not a structural thing. This is just to make it pretty.
Yes, it's
and
important.
so that because you'll have a sort of a rolled over edge. You know how the fabric can sort of flip over a little bit. If it does that, then it'll still be pink satin. So that's the whole reason to do this.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. So now we've got our satin at the top of our piece there. For most of the way around, I'm going to do it at 4/8 just so it's not, so it's outside our regular final line of stitching. Put here. But now when I come to the part where we use the pinking shears to do that zigzag edge, I'm going to sew very close to that pinking shears line, just so it doesn't pull up and holds it all in place. And that's all there is to it. So do that around every single piece. Woohoo! Exciting!
So yeah, and that's how you got your interfacing in.
Thanks, Jasmine.
You're welcome.